Before you meet a woman like Victoria, you believe you've seen and heard it everything. She doesn't mind getting her hands dirty with blood. She might even make you a cocktail that will send you to the hereafter today. Mother-in-law did everything to screw our wedding. Now she is in shame and asking us for help. Some people are just so wicked that they hate you for something beyond your control, like your race, ethnicity, and so on. It surprises me to see how far these people can go to hurt others. They labeled others. It's about my mother-in-law, guys. Victoria, 51, female. Oh God, Victoria. Well, I'm 32, female, and an architect by profession. I'm married to the love of my life, Mark, 34, male. I wouldn't be here with my crazy mother-in-law had she not tried to ruin my relationship and career. Victoria is a debutante. She's like the cream of society. She's the kind of woman that dresses up in pearls and walks around feeling mightier than thou. It is because of her upbringing. She was raised to be the highest person and to treat others like the scum of the earth. My husband Mark once said she had met the queen in her earliest years, but who knows? You know how rumors spread and spread faster. Victoria was all alone after her husband died, so I guess that's why she spent so much time with her children and tries to control them, especially Mark. My mother-in-law did not like me right from the day Mark brought me for a family dinner. God, I can still remember how her dark eyes condescendingly went up and down at me when Mark left us together to greet a couple of his family members. She walked around me in circles, assessing me. Guys, I legit felt that the airport security was trying to check me out for drugs. It was uncomfortable. I wasn't the kind to give her a dose of her treatment. It wasn't like me, so instead I smiled and answered all of her questions. I thought my career in architecture would intrigue her because mothers love their sons to marry girls with great career backgrounds. Although I didn't have a very good family background, my mother died from substance abuse and my stepfather was in rehab seeking treatment for his addiction to illegal substances, well, drugs in general, I somehow was a bright academic child. My uncle, who himself was an architect, helped me a lot in getting into this profession. With his help, I was able to secure a scholarship in architecture. Mark knew of my family situation but didn't tell his mother about it. He knew his Victoria very well, that she would look down upon me for my questionable background. Sometimes I felt terrible that I had to suffer the humiliation of society because of my parents. I have no fault in that yet. As I said, Victoria didn't care about my career in architecture on our first meeting. She had asked me if I had headed any major projects before, and I told her that I was still a junior architect and hadn't led any department or team yet. She scowled and swatted her arm, saying, "Oh, then you haven't gotten real experience as an architect. You're no good than a technician." I have no idea what I did to her to deserve this treatment. Honestly, I didn't tell Mark how his mother made me feel on the first day, but he soon began to notice it. When we would come around for dinner, she would avoid touching me. She wouldn't hug me or shake hands with me. Even when we sat for dinner and I passed her something, she wouldn't take it from my hand. I resisted the urge to scream, "Why do you not like me?" I felt weird at her behavior, but eventually I got to know that Victoria had an aversion to mixed-race children. Not that she was racist or anything, she just preferred that her children married from their tribe and race. She was raised to only love people in her own social class and race. Her usual words would be, "Well, I'm not a racist at all, but you know people should mingle and especially marry in their own race and status. After all, it's the question of the purity of the next generation." You get what I want to convey, right? She had gotten her way with Mark's other siblings who got married to the people she had specifically picked out, but Mark was strong-hearted in the house. He was the youngest child, so he had a sense of his own and didn't care about living up to anyone's expectations. I loved that about him. Initially, Victoria thought that our relationship was just a casual one and Mark would get over me soon. She didn't leave any opportunity to give a TED talk to Mark regarding the purity of the race, that he should marry someone in their own ethnicity, but as I said, Mark didn't give a dang about her opinion. Instead, he brushed her off saying she was regressive and her thoughts were rudimentary. However, as our relationship grew and we started planning for the future, she became restless and tried all means to separate us. One evening when I was at their place, Victoria approached me and said, "Mark is just using you." She further said that Mark was used to girls like me because it was a fetish and he didn't see himself going far with anyone. Even though Mark had not shown me any of those signs, I was insecure. I appeared tough and told her I would look out for those signs and Mark for myself and take the decision accordingly. Mark proposed with a beautiful ring a week afterward. The look on Victoria's face was priceless when we broke the news to her. I was thrilled, happy that I had one, but it was a long way not knowing that fancy Nancy Victoria was going to ruin my life. Mark and I wanted a small wedding with just family and friends, so we planned a small yet fancy event, but Victoria had cooked up a plan to ruin our lives, the most important day of my life, my wedding. During the planning, she tried to control everything, saying that she had to live up to her guests' expectations. When we went to get my wedding gown, she wanted something conservative and pricey. Well, I wanted something cute and affordable. I didn't want to spend so much on a wedding, even if Mark had the money. During my cake tasting, she insisted that getting dolls on the cake was ridiculous, which I had always dreamed of. She kept calling it tacky. Ultimately, I had to tell her, "This is my wedding. I know exactly what I want." Even for the decoration, she asked the florist for decoration of a traditional style with roses, but I wanted something contemporary with daisies. Her nosiness suffocated me to the point that I became disinterested in the wedding. Mark confronted her and asked her to respect me and my choices for the wedding. I thought this woman would finally understand that it was my wedding, but she had another trick up her sleeve. Victoria found out that I used to go out with a popular musician through my old social media posts, and she invited him to the wedding. He wasn't that famous back then. She knew that Mark wouldn't like the presence of my ex at our wedding, and our special day would be ruined. Thank God I found out about her sneaky plan when my ex texted me stating that he couldn't wait to see me as a bride. I was livid. I informed him right away that he was not permitted to attend the wedding and that he should disregard Victoria's invitation. I informed Mark that his mother was working for me at that point. When he challenged her about the musician incident, she innocently replied that she wanted to enjoy good music and invited him. When all her measures failed, she used my stepfather to ruin my wedding. There she was successful too. My stepfather, who was in rehab, was finally free and undergoing therapy. It was nice to see that he had left all of his bad habits and was ready to start afresh. He spoke about trying to get a new job and starting over. I was thrilled by his plans and also happy that he wanted to walk me down the aisle. His doctor warned me not to put him in situations where he would relapse. I didn't worry because I knew my stepdad was intent on changing. I would never step foot in dangerous places that would jeopardize his health, but danger came to him. Victoria somehow got to know my stepdad's condition and she cooked up a perfect plan to stop my wedding. It was my wedding day. I was happy, getting dressed. When I was ready to walk down the aisle, the wedding planner told me that my stepdad was nowhere to be found. I began to worry. Everyone started looking for him. He was later found in the garden, drugged up and incoherently saying things. I immediately knew that he had relapsed. I was angry at him for ruining my happy day and for making a fool of himself in front of guests and my new, possibly new family. He had told everyone he didn't take anything. He only accepted brownies and a cocktail from Victoria a few hours ago. The fancy woman admitted to giving a treat because it seemed like he was hungry. She denied all claims that the food was laced with illegal substances. I was conflicted. I knew that Victoria was evil, but I also knew addicts could relapse. My stepfather could have been lying. Caused chaos to such an extent that I had to go to the hospital in my wedding gown. My colleague mentioned that the drugs were causing a severe reaction to him. It was the most horrible day ever. My wedding was put on hold for a while because of all that was happening. I couldn't get married while my stepfather was in the hospital. I resumed my work the next day. Through a week, I was called into the office by my boss and was told that I would be suspended until the investigations were over. I was confused because I was always on time at work and never clocked out before my time. My boss said that there had been allegations that I had prescribed someone hospital drugs to my ailing stepfather and had caused his addiction. That was a lie. I never supported my father's habits. My boss also mentioned an incident that happened a few days ago. I had given a patient the wrong dosage. Thank God one of the nurses had noticed and drawn the attention of a senior colleague about it, else I would have killed someone. My boss told me that I just needed to stay back at home while the investigations were ongoing. This was bad. Imagine being dismissed and not getting the promotion that I had always wanted. Mark decided that we open up wedding plans and try to get hitched again despite the problems going on. He needed me to put the whole fuss behind me. He was right. I just needed the results of the investigation to be in my favor. Again, Victoria had tried to ruin my wedding preparations for the second time. She tried to make sure she was in charge of everything. I sort of allowed it this time because I was stressed up about the allegations at work and my ailing father. It was too much to handle, so I let her do everything in a way she wanted. One day, when I was visiting Mark's house for something, his mother's snarky comments about my family background hurt me so bad that I broke down in the backyard. One of the maids saw me and comforted me. While comforting me, she took pity on me and revealed many shocking truths about Victoria. She was basically an ally to Victoria and started speaking about everything that the fancy woman had been up to. She told me about the incident with my stepfather. Fancy Nancy Victoria had ordered her to buy illegal substances from a shady neighborhood and bribed her $5,000 to keep it a secret. The money is everything to many people, so the maid did what she was told. She told me how Victoria spent the day in the kitchen, baked substance-laced brownies for my stepfather, and tampered with his drink, causing his trouble with his health. My stepfather was right all along. It was Victoria. The maid had decided to come clean because she was worried that she could be in trouble with the law for helping Victoria with her evil schemes. She also knew that Victoria would want to do something worse to ruin my wedding the second time. I was glad the worker had told me, because what else would she try to do again? Have me arrested or killed? I had been able to convince the maid to tell Mark all that his mother had done. Mark was mortified to know the truth. My stepfather was a recovering addict, and Victoria had done this to ruin the wedding, so that he wouldn't walk me down the aisle and would misbehave, causing chaos to the day. She probably did not think that her little act of wickedness would cause a man to be stuck in the hospital. Mark and I knew we had to stop her one way or another. She didn't want us to be happy. So we hatched a plan to confront her about it. We wanted to do it during her monthly book club with her fellow debutantes, but that would be a far stretch. So he called her into the living room and asked the maid to repeat everything. The maid was initially scared and didn't say a word, while Victoria gave her a grave, threatening look. Mark assured the maid we would stand by her if she spoke the truth. Finally, after much contemplation, she spoke. Victoria denied all the claims and swore she would sue the maid for libel and slander. Mark got tired of theatrics and called her out for being manipulative, even threatened to inform the police. That's when she confessed everything. She admitted to feeding my recovering addict father a drug to stop our wedding, and she was greatly successful in that day. Additionally, she was responsible for my work-related problems. Apparently, the head of the architecture department is a good friend of Victoria, and they occasionally went out together. Victoria had used that opportunity to badmouth me. She told my boss that I was the one who had caused my stepfather's addiction because I used to give him prescription drugs. Oh God, I had been killing myself wondering who had told them all the lies, and it was her. I was livid to know that she could go to such an extent to ruin my career and my life. The Mark was mute. He couldn't believe his mother was that monster. I yelled in tears that my career was ruined and my father was lying in a hospital sick because of her. She didn't say anything. She just kept staring at me, probably thinking that the damage had already been done. She finally told me that she didn't like me because she didn't think I was the best person for Mark. She said that Mark deserved someone from a similar background as he was. Mark and I knew there was nothing we could do to convince her that I was good enough. We decided to elope to Toronto and get married in a private ceremony with only 4 of our friends. That's when things started to go bad with Victoria. Our conversation, or rather our altercation, was overheard by one of Victoria's maids, who then told her other employer, whom she babysits for and who is also Victoria's debutante friend. Her companion made sure to spread the rumors among their society and other elitists. Soon everyone in Victoria's circle got to know about her evil secret. If there was anything Victoria cared about, it was a reputation, and it had been ruined. Everyone looked down on her. They couldn't believe that the fancy Victoria would do a despicable thing. To make the matter worse, the police had shown up to Victoria's door and asked that she follow them for questioning concerning the drug incident. Police investigators had spoken to my stepfather and he had told them everything. Victoria and her family lawyer had gone to the station and had lied, saying that I had bribed the maid to damage Victoria's reputation. Mark and I knew the truth but wondered if the police would figure it out. They kept the case open. After the fuss with the police and the allegations, her reputation in society had gone low. Nobody wanted to be close to her anymore, or rather, they were skeptical of her truth. She had told everyone that it was all a lie, but people didn't really believe her. Slowly, people started to dissociate themselves from her and didn't want her to grace their events as usual. It was like reading a book where a young girl got pregnant out of wedlock and was banished from society. Victoria wasn't banished, but became the center of eye rolls and sarcasm. Eventually, the police figured out the truth and were going to take it to court. She got to know about this and came running to Mark to save her. She begged Mark to convince my father to withdraw the case. The problem is, no matter how much Mark hates her for her evilness, she is still his mother and no son would want to see their mother in jail. As much as I want Victoria to be punished, it hurts to see Mark in grave tension about the situation. Oh wow, she's a despicably evil woman. I can't believe she goes so far as to make a man relapse. That's so horrific, and honestly she could have killed them all because she can't get over herself and her own ego. I'm sorry. Perhaps it would have been better to delay the wedding further instead of asking her to help. She totally took advantage of the fact that you were under stress, and the pure bloodline for the next generation is just plain BS and something villains say. Mark needs to wake up. Date 1. Oh wow, I didn't think I would have so many messages and comments on this problem with my mother-in-law. I've been so busy lately, my career has been crazy, I barely even had time for myself. I was dealing with a possible dismissal of my architectural license being taken away, while my stepfather was fighting for his life. Even when I told my boss that the allegations were all a lie from Victoria to get rid of me, he kept the case under investigation as per the protocol. He didn't want to risk the clients' lives by putting me back on the team. Mark was put in a difficult spot between his wife and mother in a battle. God, I wanted to reach out to her and strangle her. She came back again the next day and played the victim card. She cried that she had no support system since her husband was dead and no one cared about her. I told her to confess the truth to everyone and face the consequences. That's when she got up and huffed. She was like, I cannot simply apologize to anyone. That would say that I am guilty and people will hate me. Well, duh, what else do you deserve? Guys, she still has this sense of pride and wanted me to tell the whole world that the allegations were false. Mark and I gave her an ultimatum. We told her to confess to the police officers that she had poisoned my father and I would do everything in my power to reduce her prison time. I know that's not ideal, but I had to protect my father's reputation too. People already thought that he was an addict that would never stop taking illegal substances. That was not so. My father was trying to change. I'll update you if anything develops. Date 2. Guys, you would not believe this. OMG, I feel like a teenager coming to give you hot gossip during lunch, but this is how it feels. Before I drop the hot details, let me thank you again for your support. I had gotten a few messages about job openings at various architecture firms and also advice on what to do concerning my mother-in-law. I apologize for going AWOL on you guys. You've been so supportive. Thank you for all the messages. Let me tell you all about this. Victoria had been able to do what I didn't think she would. Victoria was ready to right her wrongs. She started in my office, going to tell my boss that the allegations about abusing prescriptions were all gossip and she had no proof that I abused prescriptions. She just wanted to ruin my career. Although her testimony didn't help much because I had screwed up at work with the client's double dosage of design plans, it made things a little bit better. The board agreed for me to come back, but I'd practically been demoted. I could no longer lead a project without getting approval from a senior colleague. Victoria had also taken her restitution to another level by supporting my stepfather, which in her way was paying for his hospital bills and donating blood to him. But that's not it. She had also told the police authorities that she had done everything that was said of her. As expected, the police officers took her in, but seeing that she had already tried to mend things like helping me get my job back and donating blood to my father, the judge was lenient on his ruling. He sentenced Victoria to 150 days in community service at the local rehab community, where she would have to clean and take care of patients. It was about 8 hours of her day, a debutante cleaning the toilet and cleaning sick people's beds. Oh wow, who says we haven't seen it all? Her rich community did not take her restitution quite well. Words spread like wildfire and she was soon dropped in people's minds as the cleanest and nicest woman ever. No one wanted to be associated with a woman who would intentionally want to ruin her own son's wedding day and his future. As for Mark and I, we were flying next week to Toronto with 4 of our friends for our wedding. Although things might have improved, we no longer want it that way. Thank you guys for the support and for listening to me vent. I really needed it. I hope I can also be there for you when you need my help. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have been accused of making that mistake at work. It's gross to think that she really only got a slap on the hand for all the heinous things she did. She should be in jail. I don't think she'll learn her lesson. She's a wicked woman. I apologize for going through all of that. I hope you have the most amazing wedding day. The best is still to come. How do you feel about Victoria?
What would you do in this situation? Let us know in the comments. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping family drama, shocking betrayals, and the revenge stories you won't believe.